I've been working in the PR industry for about 15 years. I first started, I studied media and communications, and I first started in a press office for a television station in London, which now doesn't exist. It was called Channel 1 Television. It was owned by Associated Newspapers that owned the Daily Mail, used to own the Evening Standard and stuff like that. And I used to go around and I was handing out press releases to editorial desks and working on programs like The Digital World, which was all about internet dating and stuff like that. So that was my, my background. Then I actually worked in Sweden for a while for an event company, and then went back to work in the UK for Ahmed's old employer, PR Newswire. I became part of the European management team for PR Newswire, I was tasked with starting their Nordic region operations in 2005, and then subsequently their operations in the Middle East, in Russia, and in India I contributed to. And one of my first meetings in 2005 were with Christopher Bjorkman and with Peter Ingman. I was sent out to meet this funny little company called Newsdesk at the time. They drew me the vision of the company, and at the time they wanted either money or investment or partnership. So I sat down with Peter, who you've seen on video, who's in Singapore at the moment, and Christopher. They talked to me all about this new PR world and this new digital landscape. They talked to me about the power of search. They talked to me about the power of pulling people to content. And I sat there like any fat and happy executive from an American company that's a market leader, and said to them, I think you're completely wrong. PR is all about pushing a message to people, whether they want it or not. It's about pushing it down people's throats, and we're paid to do that by our clients, and we'll continue to do that. So I think, and this freemium model that you've got going here, you know, that's a crock of crap. That's never going to work. However, you two, really great couple of guys. So, you know, while I'm working in this business, you know, let's go out, let's have a few beers, and, you know, let's talk about the industry. 2 years later, I came to the conclusion that I was completely wrong. The lesson there is, you know, it's okay. If you think you know one thing today and you're certain of one thing, you could well be wrong in a couple of years' time, or even in 6 months' time. But I then essentially gave PR Newswire an ultimatum that we either needed to acquire, partner, or invest in this particular region. The decision was taken to acquire. There was only one company that I wanted to acquire in this region, and that was my Newsdesk, because I could see the potential of that company, and of the technology and of the product. I didn't understand anything about the company or the culture, but I was convinced, having worked in this industry for a long time, and knowing the challenges that the clients have, and then seeing this piece of software that actually back then is light years, you know, ahead of its time, but when I look back at what we've got today versus what we've got then, it's completely different. To cut a long story short, I didn't get the cash from my parent company to acquire the company, so I then took the job offer that Peter and Christopher have been offering me for years and came across to join my Newsdesk. At that time, the company was generating about 1.7 million in revenue, and was a loss-making enterprise, was basically losing about 500,000 or 50,000, about 50,000 euros a year. 3 years later, we're now up at around about 8 million euros, and we're profitable. So I'm very privileged to have come on board into a company with great people, as I said, with a great culture that I completely underestimated before coming into the business. And of course, you know, have worked with some great people that are in that business, a little bit like Martin, a little bit like Kalle, who you'll meet. Per obviously joined me at PR Newswire a few years ago, and he now runs Sweden. And I'm so excited about being at this company, and it's massively exciting to be in a room today with all of you guys that are new, that are probably thinking, fuck, what have I got myself into? A little bit confused, too much information. The purpose of this session is just to share a little bit of information with you about communicators and about how communicators think. Because, as I said on Monday, 3 key components to what makes this business work. The first bit is the employees and is the culture of the company. We're not going to touch on that today. The second bit is definitely the bit we're going to touch on today, which is the customer, focusing on the customer, the service that we deliver to the customer, and actually truly understanding the customer. And then the third bit, obviously, is the financial performance, which is, which I have to worry about, and I'll tell you tomorrow morning why you have to worry about that too. But that's another session. We're going to try and arrange for each of you in each of your markets to actually spend some time with communicators. This has not been formalised yet, but I'll be going through that with each of your country managers, because it is vital that we understand what a communicator does, and it's vital that you put yourselves in their positions, basically, because you are, whether you like it or not, PR and brand engagement specialists from Monday morning. Now, a lot of you are going to think, well, God, I'm not in a position to be that. And quite frankly, for 6 months, you guys are all going to be frauds. You will all be frauds. You will all be saying things that you're not quite sure of. You will all feel a bit uncomfortable about being a trusted advisor, a PR specialist, a brand engagement specialist, because you will be learning that knowledge. But the story is tough. You need to get comfortable with that. You just need to pretend that you are that, and hopefully in 6 months' time, you will be someone that knows a lot about the PR industry. And let me tell you, there are a lot of frauds out there. Half of the people that are working for PR agencies, for digital agencies, know absolutely no more than you. Please hold that in your head. But let's get, there are of course some very good PR agencies and some very good digital agencies out there too, which have a lot of expertise, but there are a lot of frauds too. But I don't want you to be frauds forever, but we just have to accept that we're going to be frauds for the first couple of months. What helps you though is to understand what a communicator does. And how many people have studied communications here from a university perspective? Fantastic. You can, fantastic. Marketing. Yeah, marketing can be the same. Yeah. Brilliant. So you can answer it. I'm not going to allow Ahmed to say too much because he's worked with communicators for a number of years now. So you're not allowed to have all the answers, I'm afraid, my man. So you take a step back. So you're a communicator. You go into an organisation. What are your target messages? What are your key target messages? Okay, let's take the example of, hands up, who's from Norway? Brilliant, you got a fantastic airline there, Norwegian. Let's put ourselves in the Norwegian corporate communicator director's shoes. What are her key messages that need to come out in every piece of communication, would you say? The key messages from Norwegian's communications director. I take it everyone knows Norwegian, the airline. Yeah. What do you think her core messages are, her key messages are from a PR context?
You have to give the message that they are going to use Norwegian and get customers.
Yeah, but from a communications perspective, what do you think she or Norwegian are trying to...
What makes them good?
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing, I don't know, but specific
yeah,
things.
They identify, and they're saying, you know, we need to find out who we are as a company.
Yeah, cheap and
cheap.
easy.
Yeah, price is one thing definitely that they compete on. So price is one key message. Next key message.
Customer service.
Service. Yeah. Another key message.
They're from Norway.
Sorry.
They're from Norway.
I wouldn't necessarily say coming from Norway is one of their key messages.
Experience.
It is,
yeah?
Because their logo and the name says it all. So.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that in every piece of their community. It could be a key message that they come through, but I wouldn't say that that's probably one of the. They want to be one of Europe's largest low-cost airlines. They don't necessarily want to be known as just being from Norway, unless they're addressing specifically the Norwegian market, which is very important to do that.
Time.
Exactly.
Time.
Yeah. So punctuality. Yeah, that's a great key message. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. Route network. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. The list can be endless, okay? But yeah, that is from a communications perspective, exactly what you were talking about, Annette, about who are we? What do we have to communicate? What are our key messages? Okay, they have to work that out. Then the next thing they do is what, Finn?
Try and work out who they're talking to.
Exactly. So, what are our key target audiences? When we talk about key target audiences, can someone give me some examples of key target audiences?
Young people.
Okay, that's more of a from a marketing perspective that we're talking about, you know, young people. But from a communications perspective, if you take it down to a communications perspective, what types of stakeholders are going? I'm going to bring you in.
It's more or less looking at industry publications.
Yeah. So okay, I'll allow you one. All right. So, trade media is one from a communications perspective. Next.
Bloggers.
Bloggers. Another one.
Write about travel.
Yeah. Next. Newspaper. Shout it out. It's okay. If you're wrong, it's fine. You'll learn that at my news desk. We're often wrong. I'm often wrong. Often. It's okay. Newspapers. Next.
It could be investors.
Absolutely. Investors are a key stakeholder audience for both large companies and small companies because everyone's looking for money.
Travel agencies or something.
Could be. Suppliers or partners in your industry, yeah. Next. Anyone else? Okay.
Customers, then
Sorry?
the end customers.
Yeah, could well be the end customer. Consumer or end customer. Yeah. Anyone else? Who's a really big stakeholder in the airline industry, for example?
Government.
Bang. Nice to know. We got to, seriously, I sometimes do this session and everyone's like completely quiet. It's nice to know we have some brains in the room. That we finally recruited some people with brains. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, newspapers, traditional media, yeah. Social media communities. You can't really bunch them as just a social media community, but you can define a community. Industry associations are often very important stakeholders. Okay, so you've got, you know, who are your key target audiences? Again, that's a crucial thing. And the reason I'm actually going through this with you guys is that these are the type of questions that you're going to be asking the people that you're talking to, either over the telephone or in a meeting. You're going to be asking these questions because you're going to be establishing need. Why the hell these people want to buy a My News Desk service? And once you've got the answers to all of these questions, then you can actually position the My News Desk product against the needs that they have. And as Heidi's gone on and Per's gone on, and we'll talk about tomorrow in doing the cases, you know, different customers have different needs. But we need to identify, you know, what they're actually doing. What's the next thing that they do? After they've done that,
Maybe figure it out how to reach those target audiences.
yeah, you could say that. I think there's probably a stage before that, and that's how you reach those people with what. And it's basically, okay, so what I call it tactics, but you know, it can be another thing. But what are some of the tactics that how do we reach that audience? With what do we reach that audience?
Through TV spots.
Okay, not necessarily from a communications perspective, because communications is all about below the line. It's about not paying for exposure. TV spots are above the line. That goes into the advertising. Now, we deal a lot with marketing departments that deal with both above the line and below the line. But go on.
I was thinking about benefits. No?
Okay, no. I'm actually, okay, what's in the My News Desk newsroom?
Press
release.
release.
Thank you. Okay, so one thing is a press release. Now, lots of people still use press releases. There are many people that comment that the press releases are dying. And other forms of communication is overtaking that. And I would generally probably agree with that, but press releases won't die for a good few years yet. So press releases are certainly one way of communicating. Another way of communicating.
Email.
Email, yeah. You're going to come across that a lot. Another way of communicating.
Social media.
Yeah. Yeah, social media, yeah.
Phone.
Okay, yeah. I'm really looking at content that we're creating now. So what other types of content is there?
Marketing.
Marketing is not a piece of content.
Okay, I was thinking about something else. No, it was my fault.
What other things do a My News Desk newsroom have? Give you video. Yes, thank you very much. Video, yeah. Next.
Pictures.
Sorry?
Pictures.
Pictures, photos, yeah. Next.
Brochures.
Yeah, documents, background documents, yeah. Yeah.
News.
News items. For me, that's probably one of the biggest developments in PR is very much around news items, not writing a bloody press release. I used to sell, news releases to Nokia, for example. I used to go there and, they sent 300 press releases to me every year, and I got very rich on it. And I went and did a social media workshop with 30 of their communicators, and I went back 6 months later, and they were only doing 100 press releases now, because all they were doing was news items. So I lost a lot of money and decided to leave. Anyway, yeah, okay, so we've got photos, we've got videos, we've got news, we've got social media, we've got press releases. Big one you're missing?
Contact person.
Sorry?
Contact person.
Contact persons is one. To actually personalise PR.
Company information.
Yeah, all of this is company information. Yeah. Big thing. How are companies breaking a lot of their news these days? Innovative companies.
Social media links.
Yeah.
Blog content.
Thank you. Blogs. Yeah. So one of your key owned media, one of your key owned spaces is your blog. Okay. Yeah. So blogs are one thing. Just another tactic that PRs love to use when you're really stuck with you've got a key message, you've got a key audience, but you don't really know, you haven't got any good content. Do you know a big trick that PRs use?
PR agencies.
Oh, PR agencies. Yeah, yeah. But this is a particular trick that PR agencies use actually. Do you know what they do when they're looking at a subject area, but they don't quite know what to say in it?
They just talk about what someone else has said.
They can curate content, yeah, for sure. There's another thing I'm looking for. Come on, you studied communications.
I'm not sure
what I'm asking about.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you then. Surveys. Everyone loves a survey, yeah? We don't know anything about this subject area. We need to prove something where our product or our service is great. Let's go out there and do a survey. So most of the surveys that you hear on the news, that they're in the newspaper, are bollocks. They are surveys that PR agencies or companies have gone out there asking the right questions to get the right answers, and that creates a news story. So they love doing that. Sorry? Is it? Oh yeah, the CIFO. I know. I have a friend that works for CIFO. Yeah, yeah. They'll come up with any answers that you want. Yeah, they do. But that's their business. Another great one, when you hear about the PR industry, I'll save time here. It's stunts, okay? Yeah. So they're gonna paint a landmark, pink. Or you're a very thoughtful man, aren't you? You sat there very taking it in, very sort of. I like that. I like that. Very good. Don't think too much though. It's dangerous. No, stunts. You know, PRs love doing stunts. You know, so let's go and, you know, paint a landmark this, or you know, use a celebrity and do a stunt that way, stuff like that. Okay, so here are some of the tactics that they employ. Then they think about, how are we going to reach that audience? How are we going to reach that audience? You know, and that's where platforms like My News Desk come in. But as Per was talking to you the other day about, there are many other ways to reach an audience. It's not just about My News Desk. Yeah. But okay, you can talk about, in our words, we would talk about publish, but you can talk about, you know, distribution. You can talk about, oh, what's the Cision word, Martin? Connect is their word. So you connect with whatever. Okay. Engage, yeah, another buzzword. We use it as well. Engagement, yeah. How you're going to engage is one area. And as Per said yesterday, there are lots of different ways to engage. Isn't that right, Arvid?
Absolutely.
Lots of different ways to engage. What you'll find, actually, is that about 95% of the market, their way of engaging is doing it themselves. Our biggest competitor is not Cision, or is not Meltwater, or is not PR Newswire, or is not Business Wire, or is not Gorkana. It's actually people just doing it themselves. That's the biggest competitor we have in this market. So it's obviously a massive opportunity for us as well. And then what's the next thing that they do? After they've sent information out, they've published information, or they've connected, or they've engaged.
I'm a little bit confused about the flow here. Is it what we would do, what a PR agency would do when dealing with the marketing manager?
You're a communicator. You go in and you're putting together a communications plan. Firstly, you work out what the hell you're saying. Number one. Number two, you work out who you want to say it to. Yeah. Number three, you work out what types of content and information you're going to use to get that message to those people. The next one is, how are we actually going to do it? How are we going to connect? So that's the next stage. Am I clear? Getting it? Yeah. And what's the
Wait for with press reviews.
Measure the results.
yeah, I mean, this is included in that is an ongoing, you know, media relations process or engagement process or whatever.
Some kind of follow-up.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
Rasmus?
feedback.
Yeah,
Some kind
yeah.
of feedback.
Okay. We call it analyze. Yeah. But you can call it, in an old world, monitoring. And you can debate whether there's a difference between monitoring, analysis, or whatever. This is the biggest change for communicators over the last 25 years. I was in London a couple of months ago, and I met with a guy called Bob Leaf. Now, I don't know if any of you guys know an organisation called Burson Marsteller. Any of you guys know Burson Marsteller? No? Burson Marsteller is one of the biggest PR agency groups in the world. It comes out of the Harold Burson set them up in the 1950s in the US. Now it's a global PR agency group. Bob Leaf, who's now about 83 years old, he set up Burson Marsteller in every country in the world apart from the US. So he's had a big group. And I said to him, he was at this awards ceremony with lots of, you know, lights and young people and music and stuff like that. And there's this 83-year-old guy, and I know him quite well. And I said, Bob, I do all these speeches about PR trends and marketing trends and all this sort of stuff. You know, you're the guy who's been there, done there, and seen it. And a lot of people completely ignore him, yeah, because he's 83 years old and he's you know, they don't know what he's been through. And I said, to your mind, what is the biggest change in communications in the last 10 years, say? And there was 3 words that he used for me. And I'm not going to ask you to what you think they are, I'll just tell you. And his 3 words were evidence-based communications. And he said to me, You know, in the old days, Jonathan, we could just all be frauds. We could go out there and we could sell a story. We could tell companies that, you know, these are your core messages, these are the people that you should be targeting, and this is how we're going to get it to them. And we didn't really have to do too much measurement, and we kind of used these flawed measurements like advertising equivalency value, and we could always prove that campaigns were kind of working, but there was always a big question. But here, evidence-based communication and the use of analysis, and of course this is because of the advent of the internet and the different analytics that come around with that, is the biggest change for communicators. You heard Mr. Wagner there say that one of the reasons why the Danish police, trying to bring it round to a real-world example, bought our service is that they actually saw My News Desk as one of the tools that could best give them a return on investment analysis on their communications. And one of the things, you know, I know Martin's very hot on it as well, is actually asking communicators, you know, how are you measured? How are you measured as a communicator? How are you measured as a marketeer? What are you doing to measure? You know, assume everyone has Google Analytics. Assume everyone knows their analytics on their website. But do they know their analytics on their news content? Every single press release, every single picture, every single blog post, every single photo? Most of them have not a clue. And the biggest change is evidence-based communication, is analysis. That's one of the areas that we will be working on most over the next few years in the development of our product. And this is a shock to many communicators that you'll meet. You'll meet and you'll demo the My News Desk product to many communicators, typically, like Heidi was referring to in that example, that are between the ages of 30 and 60, that have no fucking clue what this means. Now, it's our job to help them. It's our job not to make them feel completely excluded, but it's our job to actually say, here's a tool that can easily help you understand this new world. So evidence-based communication and analysis is a big part. The reason I did this was not to sort of patronize you at all, but to make you realize that, yes, My News Desk is in here, so it can fit a need here. My News Desk definitely is in here, so it can help companies here. My News Desk here, in terms of its explore function, is in here, MND, here. And obviously, it can help you with this as well. But it can't create a press release for you, or it can't create a document, but it gives you a beautiful place to put it. But there are thousands of online systems out there that people can use, from free systems, from different content management tools to different competitive tools out there. And sure, My News Desk technology is great. You know, this afternoon we're launching some really interesting stuff on the Influencer Finder stuff. But you know what? From a client's perspective, often they just think, so what? Just another system, just another online system. I'll give you an example. When we first opened up in Norway, we went to see the communications association there. And we walked in and we were all very proud of our products because we all get, yeah, this is fantastic, this is the best, this is brilliant. The guy sat down there with him. He's a very bright guy. He's actually one of the few people that are responsible for communications associations that I actually respect. And he said to me, yeah, you know, looks great. Just another one of these online PR services though, isn't it? He's absolutely right. Yeah, it's just another one of these online PR services. But you know what the difference is? So the product is a fantastic product. And once people use it, they love it, they get addicted to it. I often say in meetings, it's a bit like crack. Yeah, it's a bit like crack. I've never tried crack, by the way. You know, if anyone has anyone tried crack around this room? Bit of nervous laughter there, so maybe they have. But essentially, the more they get into it, the more they love it, and they get addicted to it. But the key difference in all of these online systems is are you as people? And believe me, employing you as people is expensive for an organisation. Having people sell this service is expensive. The reason we do it is that you are the difference between people buying this service and not buying the service. How do you make that difference? Because you understand this. You understand the communicator. So you ask them key questions when you go in and you do your needs analysis with customers. What are your key messages as an organisation? Or you develop a hook that Heidi was talking about, saying, looking at your website or looking at your newsroom, I would imagine that probably some of your key messages are price, service quality, punctuality and route network. Would I be right in assuming that those are some of your key messages? Or you would say, in Norwegian's perspective, many of our airline clients work their communications messages around price, service quality, punctuality and route network. Are they any of the target messages that you're looking at targeting your communications with? Okay. That's one way of doing it. So you either ask them or you actually assume something and ask that question. And then you also ask about key target audiences. So, you know, what are your key target audiences in terms of your communication, so I can just have a proper understanding of your business? You know, you need to understand that as well. Or you actually go in and say to, you know, a lot of airline clients are very concerned with obviously the traditional travel media, the consumers, governments are important stakeholders for them, and there are different social media communities that they have developed. Are any of these particularly key important target audiences for you this year? And it's interesting what Heidi was saying about learning every meeting. Now, don't go out of this room thinking, fuck, I'm not going to be able to ask those sort of questions. You will learn this. Every client you meet, you will learn something about their communications program, you'll learn about something about their challenges. So the next meeting or demo that you have, you'll be more well educated on communications and on their sector. So, you know, you meet one airline, the next airline you meet is going to be even easier. You meet one tech company, the next tech company you meet is going to be even easier because you have an idea of their challenges. But what I'm trying to get to here is that you need to understand the client. It's no good just understanding the product. It's no good just understanding the product or the industry or, you know, just reading a load of blogs on PR. Reading a load of blogs on PR does actually help you, or digital does help you. But it's about actually understanding the customer. How does it look like from the customer's position? So what is often a good 2 words to use. I often, whenever I'm starting speaking, I often have the word so what in my mind when I'm talking about positioning a product. So what? Gives you great SEO. So what? What are the benefits that gives the company? Gives you a great publishing platform. So what? What does publishing do? What's the end benefit for me? So you need to work that out with each of the customers, and you need to identify what their needs are. Any questions on that particular bit? No? Go on, Finn.
No, it's not a question, it's just a probably pointless observation.
Pointless.
So what? I was
Yeah?
thinking, yeah, so what? So call them 1 to 5. The start, that's something a company is really concerned with.
Yeah.
Is, you know, what are they trying to say? Number 2 would be the marketing director maybe would start thinking about who he's trying to get stuff out to.
No, I would say this is a communications and marketing director is interested in their key messages.
I mean, everyone's all these different things, but I was just thinking, I just saw company, marketing guys, ad agencies, number 3, 4 PR agencies get involved in the actual publishing of the content. Maybe
No. PR agencies would say that their key skill set is strategic advice. So PR agencies would say that they're actually all about key target audience identification, key message audience identification. Tactics, they try and get away from. Do you know why?
I don't know.
Because it doesn't pay a lot of money. Doing strategy, doing this type of stuff, does a lot more than just tactical tools.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't really break it down into PR agencies do this, ad agencies do that. That's not quite true. Any other questions?
I was going to say, when you said when that guy's aiming more at you, it's just another PR platform, in your head you're thinking, yeah, what was your response?
I'd say my response to him was, yeah, I can see why sitting in your shoes, it's just another PR. It's just another PR platform. but having worked in this industry for 15 years, I can honestly tell you I haven't seen another platform that can do this, that could do this, that could do this, and that could do this, that can combine all those elements. So you had yesterday afternoon with Pele, you talked about the four different elements of the service. No PR platform can actually do that. Can actually do these four elements, can link them all together, and can do that in such an effective way. But I can see immediately from your position, you come back, just, so what? So I empathised with him as the first stage of that, and then I overcame that by saying actually the thing that links it is doing all of this. You can get a great platform that does just content publishing. You can get great platforms that do just analysis. You can get great platforms that do publishing. You can get great platforms that do monitoring. But this is a platform that actually brings it all together in one space, specifically for PR and news content. And that was that. Anything else? No other questions? I'll move on. Okay, so there are two types of customer or ambassador or influencer that you're going to come up against in your local markets. One of them is the agency, and one of them is the company or in-house communicators. This is the most valuable advice from this session. Which is a combination of my whole 15 years experience in PR. If you are wanting to impress a company, what can you help a communicator or a marketeer do? What can my news desk solution help a communicator or a marketeer do? Shoot.
Save time.
Yes, that's true. Next.
Visibility.
Reach more people. Yes, that's true.
Reach the right people.
Reach the right people. Yes, that's true.
Sell more products.
Sell more products. Yes, that's true.
Find people that are interested in you.
Find people that are interested in you. Yes, that's true.
Enable people that are interested in your product to find you.
Yes, absolutely. Can do.
Scan the environment to see, listen, see what's the
Listen,
next trend.
explore, whatever you want to put to it. Normal stuff. But you know what? Yes, we can do all of that. Sounds great, doesn't it? Not the most important thing. Okay. Analyze is good. What does analyze help you do? We're getting warmer, actually.
See visitors.
Yeah.
Where they're from.
But the actual benefit of seeing your visitors.
Cut out all the useless stuff that you might be saying. Just do targeted
Yeah.
that has a value.
Yeah, time saving and focus, definitely.
Return on investment.
Yeah. What does return on investment do? Who's providing that investment? You. Yeah.
To make you more money.
To make you more money.
Yeah, to make your investment grow, to make your company grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Ahmed, you going to come in there?
Oh, no, I was actually going to go to the last point you made about basically not just finding out your influence, basically finding out the stats in terms of when you actually distribute information.
Yeah.
Exactly monitoring what you're getting back from that, how you can strategize best actually.
Yeah, we do loads of that good shit. It's brilliant, yeah. It's amazing. Do you know what? No. The most important thing we do is we make people look good. Sorry, it's not even rightly spelled. Look good in front of their boss.
Yeah.
That's it. PR is about, and communicators, you're selling to a person. You're not selling to a machine, you're selling to a person. That person wants to achieve in either their organisation or with their boss. That's what's most important. So if you can really get to the relationship and the rapport building with the client to say, you know, what's important? What do you get judged on? You know, you can often get to that with questions like, you know, what are your communications objectives over the next 12 months? You know, have you seen that your, you know, the measurement of PR and communications has moved a lot away from sort of advertising equivalency and press clips in media to more analytics-based evidence? But, you know, it'd be good for me to understand, you know, what are you actually judged on? What's your performance judged on? Because it's all about looking good in front of their boss. You know, and if you can provide, if we can provide you with analytics reports that actually, you know, and a lovely one about, you know, a lovely one with communicators in particular is to say, you know, aren't you pissed off with all your marketing colleagues always getting the big bucks and giving them to big advertising agencies? Because they're very good with data, aren't they, in terms of providing the demographics and the analytics back. You know, we've certainly found that by using My News Desk, a lot of communicators are able to actually pull much more on internal budgets because they're actually able to provide analysis about the value of communications and content in their businesses. Oh yeah, I'd like that. Oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah, you know, get personal with these people. Martin down there's a great one to talk to about getting personal with people. What are your aims and objectives? How can we actually help you in achieving those aims and objectives? Now it's hard to do that right from the outset. But if you're a good enough rapport builder, if you're good enough at getting need out, then you can actually make sure that you're making guys look good in front of their boss. What do we do with agencies? All the same shit that you talked about. Yes, we can provide that.
Looking good in front of their customers.
There you go. That's it. Finally, make them look good in front of their customers. Okay, that's all we do. Okay. There's three things I think which are really, really important when selling to communicators, bringing it down from a communications perspective. And I'm just going to show you very briefly, if I may, Sophie, 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. That's to be kept on track, you see, by someone. As you said last, we entered the UK a few months ago. And I'm trying to get this, I started engaging with a digital guy on Twitter, a guy called Paul Taylor, who's in charge of everything digital for the Central Office of Information. And Jesus, do I have to stop this? Or? It's not on. Okay. Anyway, and we had this, you know, he said, God, yeah, your proposition sounds really interesting. Why don't you come in and pitch the RAF, the Royal Air Force? So we had no brand in the UK market. We had just a start-up staff, but we came in and actually pitched to about 10 people, including David Cameron's head of digital. And 1 month later, and let me make this, 1 month later, they had signed up to a premium newsroom on My News Desk. So this is the Royal Air Force in the UK. And there's three things. I just want to run you very briefly through what we did in that presentation. As I said, I stood up very briefly for about 15 minutes and talked a little bit about My News Desk. But there's three things I think that people buy. They buy the mission. Of course, they buy you as a person. That's you know. But they buy the mission, they buy the product, and they buy the value proposition. The mission, the product, and the value proposition is what they buy. So we actually just started off with and I urge you not to use this presentation. We'll actually be coming up with a sales presentation that all of the sales organisation can use and adapt for their local markets. I am crap with PowerPoint. As you can see, and I don't have time to put these things together, but it was My News Desk in numbers. What are we as an organisation? And the thing that actually got me this meeting was one tweet. And one tweet basically said this: My News Desk are doing for digital marketing what Skype have done for telecoms and what Spotify are doing to music. That tweet got so much interest that meeting then had a couple of weeks later had us in front of all of these government decision makers in the UK. So don't underestimate the power of Twitter. The mission, I don't know why the settings aren't right, but anyway, to create a smarter PR and brand engagement platform for digital communicators and their stakeholders to easily find, network and communicate with each other. As easy as that. That's what the mission was in 2003. That's what the mission remains today. Do you want to do that as a communicator? Is your mission as a communicator or a marketeer, is it actually, do you need to engage with your stakeholders, to find them, to network with them and communicate with them? If you do, and if you believe in that mission, then that's what's important. As Martin went through you today, you know, in our world, the future is not this. Most communicators we deal with, that's how they organise their contacts, their influencers and their stakeholders, in an Excel list. Do you do that? Lots of people around the table. Yeah, we do. Excel. Do you think that's a great way of doing it? No. Okay, fine. Then you get these guys. Unfortunately, in the room was a guy that had bought a media database before. Lots of media database. Ahmed loves this shit. He sold this shit for many years. This is the Focus platform. You're right. Yes. This is a media database. And so what do we think about media databases? We asked the audience what they thought about media databases. Well, you know, what are the great things about media databases? Well, you know, they've got all of the contacts, you know, and you can easily draw lists and stuff like that. Brilliant. Yeah, excellent. How do you find working with media? What are some of the challenges? Well, all the data's usually out of date, isn't it? You know, the people aren't actually there. You know, you can draw the list, but it's not a real connection, is it? No, it's not. No. No. So do you think PR and communications is best done by using a database? No, we don't. so using an Excel spreadsheet, that's pretty shit, yeah? Yeah, it is. So using a media database, kind of helps you, but they're pretty inefficient tools, aren't they? Yeah, it really does. Okay. Fine. So this is what we do. And actually, oh wait, God. Tunnel Bic. Remind me later, might be interesting. Actually, this is what our product does, and I'm not going to go over that because Pedro gave you, 16 hours yesterday of that in detail, which is good stuff. I'm glad you survived and made it out the other end. But actually, I also used this slide with Christopher used it with our My News Days, which drew about 1,500 people in Sweden to different events. I used it actually with in London. About a month ago with a group called the Digital Futures Group, and actually said, this is actually how we see the PR and communications world. Take the My News Desk product away from it, and actually just look at it as a mindset. Look at it as a mindset of what do you need to do in the new digital world which is affecting PR. And you can start really where you want to. If you want to start with your network and with your contacts, then you can do that. If you want to actually start with exploring the web and seeing who your influencers are, that you can do that. Most of our clients actually start, and we recommend that you start publishing content. Because as soon as you start publishing content, and again, just take My News Desk out of the equation for a minute. Publish it on your website, publish it on your WordPress blog, publish it somewhere. Publish content, that will draw, then we talk about network, we talk about actually, your contacts. Who are your contacts that you have today? Do you have an Excel list? Great, bring it into the product. Then we'll actually create a network around your content. Then we'll talk about, exploring who are the influencers that are using this content. Who are the influencers out there that are talking about you on social media? Who is talking about you in traditional media? Who is talking about your competitors? Who is talking about your industry? How can you contact and network with them? Our Explore tool will help you do that. And of course, analysis. Again, take the My News Desk platform out of it. Whether you're using Google Analytics, whether you're using Kissmetrics, whether you're using some analytics program that your development team have bought, analysis. These are the 4 areas that we think communicators today, if they're going to be successful, if they're going to look good in front of their boss, are going to do. And need to cover off. And the question really is for yourself, how are you doing this today? Because there are great tools that do just networking, just publishing, just analysis, and just explore, but we fundamentally believe that My News Desk has the best tool to do all 4 and link those together for your communications work. And then we talked about just our record in the public sector, but here's the value. So what do? What benefits does it bring you? It provides a shortcut or more efficiency to your PR work. It gives you better web exposure. Has Charlotte been through the communications platform with you this morning, I take it? Yes? No? Okay, so she's been through this value proposition with you. It gives you greater influence through your PR and communication work, and it provides you with visible ROI. They're the 4 values that My News Desk brings to you. That was it. You know, that was all we did for 50 minutes, and then we actually, you know, we built mock newsrooms for them. So we went through the newsroom, we went through the content. As Per was referring to you yesterday, you know, one of the things is just to let people see their content in the My News Desk newsroom. It's great. It's got all their social media included. We've had companies, you know, here that said, yeah, we've had an agency go out there and they're going to charge us $50,000 to develop a newsroom. Your newsroom looks much better. Then you're charging, you know, $40,000, $50,000, $5,000, $4,000, depending on where you're coming from. But actually, that just purely the look of those newsrooms. Or if you want to take your agency, take elements of our API and just publish on My News Desk, but you can have that yourselves. But anyway, that's what I want to share with you. You know, 1 month later, that was a deal for Heidi in the UK. That was, you know, we've been going in, you know, a couple of months there. You know, Martin's been extremely successful in Denmark, developing, you know, his brand ambassadors that he talked to you about on Monday. You know, we've been able to do the same in Norway. We've only been open, you know, a year in terms of developing over 150 companies and becoming nearly the market leader in Norway. Doing the same in Finland in terms of lots of companies using us. And in Sweden, you know, we've been there, done it, and we've been doing it for years. We just need to beat Cision in terms of revenue next year. But that's it. It can be done. But really tying together what Heidi was talking about is that it's about belief. You will go through some tough times. Don't underestimate the challenge which is in front of you. Also, realise there's a big difference between employee engagement and employee commitment. And I break those 2 things down into, are you engaged in this company, or are you engaged in your job? I'm only interested in people that are engaged in both. I do not want people in this organisation that are just engaged because they're working for this cool Swedish company that does red things, that gives you MacBook Airs and iPhones, and you think you work for a great culture. That is a crucial part to this business. But you will only be happy and you will only be successful if you're successful in your jobs. And each and every one of you here today, apart from maybe a couple of you, need to be the best salespeople in the world, the best customer service people in the world. If you're successful in your jobs, you will be happy. If you're only successful, or if you only think that My News Desk is a really cool company to work for, you won't be successful, and we'll actually have you out the door anyway. I don't want to end that on a negative front, but we believe in driving performance here at My News Desk. The reason why 20 of you are allowed to sit here now is because of the hard work of the people here in Sweden, in Denmark, in Norway, and now in the UK, in generating revenue and generating clients. That's why we're able to do that. And that's going to be each and every one of your jobs going forward to do that as well. But also, as Heidi said, you know, we're not a perfect organisation, which actually makes us a fun organisation. Come with solutions, don't come with problems. You know, I like people that come with problems as well, because you know they're always fun to actually solve as long as we solve them together. You know, I've met some of you, I've interviewed with some of you. I think you're going to be a great bunch. So I'm looking forward to following each and every one of yours development over the next year, and having a great 2 days together actually tomorrow, where we actually do some cases together and get you thinking before we release you out into the marketplace. But I'll just end by saying, don't be afraid of sounding like a fraud for the first 6 months. You are PR and brand engagement specialists from Monday morning. However, you're not going to know everything from Monday morning. Give yourself a break as well. Give yourself some time to say, actually, I'm going to know so much more in the summer than I knew in January. But for a while, I just need to pretend. I just need to try things out. And failure is only failure if you don't learn the lessons of your mistakes. Otherwise, they're just learnings. They're just positively creating the business that we're going to build on. Any questions at this stage? Or are you all a bit sort of, fucking hell?
I think I forgot about it, but is it possible for other clients to go in to the press room and watch their other companies analyze?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Only if you're in luck.
Do you think that would be a good business idea?
No, just if you want to show another client, because it's not all of us has an in-log for yeah, exactly.
So you will be able to show my news desks analytics. You'll be able to show my news desk analytics. Hopefully when you meet a client, you will have built a trial press room for them anyway. You'll be able to go in and show them their analytics on their content that you have published for them. And of course, I'm sure one or two people have shown other clients analytics to clients, but we don't recommend that. You can cut that from the video, actually. But Martin's never done that, have you, Martin? No. Any other questions? No. Thank you very much. What's next up, Sophie?
First,